Please watch the following clip, and then we need to talk about it.
In 2024, Oregon schools investigates 260 allegations of abuse. Last year, several educators from Oregon's St. Helens School District were arrested. As of 2019, Oregon had the highest number of sex offenders per capita. Meanwhile, we continue to allow distribution of sexually explicit materials to children, which normalizes such behaviors. It is now easier for children to access rated R materials from school libraries than obtain a simple content from a local movie theater.
That's Oregon State House Representative Dwayne Yunker. And he's right that Oregon has a huge problem with adults who prey on children, especially in the education system. But then he uses that as a justification for banning books, saying that students are more susceptible to abuse because it's been normalized by books that are available at the library. All I have to say to this is please don't politicize the abuse of children. As a parent, I closely monitor the content that my son consumes. And as lawmakers, it is your job to make laws that keep children as safe as possible. People can go back and forth all day discussing what books are appropriate for children to read, and you're never gonna get all parents to agree on that. But universally, parents agree, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter, that child predators have no place in a school, and that removing a person that harms children is a much higher priority than removing a book. And there are things that you can do as a lawmaker to make children safer in the classroom. Predators flock to Oregon because it is less likely that they are going to have consequences for their actions there. One reason is that your mandated reporter laws are weak. This has some very confusing language saying that the official has to come in contact with the person who suffered abuse. The way this is worded causes a lot of people to not report abuse. But in other states with stronger laws, if they just suspect that a child might be abused or might be being neglected, they report it. Abusers don't like this, so they flock to states that have more lax mandated reporter laws. It's also good to include what you're supposed to do if there's 2 or more people who become aware of the same abuse, to ensure that the person who is supposed to be reporting it is actually reporting it. At the end of last year, I made Safe Oregon reports that led to the arrests of 3 people in St. Helens, Oregon. But I now know that there were previous Safe Oregon reports that were made that were not properly followed up on. So as legislators, I think it's time to look at the Safe Oregon system. It's great that it makes it so easy for people to report abuse, but I think it's time to look at what happens to those reports after they're made. If abuse at a school is reported and then those reports are sent back to that school and there's one person who is able to close out those reports without doing any investigation, then it's not successful. And it's not protecting children the way it should be. So I think there needs to be stronger requirements for closing out Safe Oregon reports. Finally, something has to be done about all of the schools that are passing the trash, where it becomes clear that a staff member is not safe for kids, but instead of them being fired, they're allowed to resign and then go to another school district. It's really frustrating when a teacher gets arrested for abusing students, and then you find out that they were forced to resign at a previous school district because of inappropriate contact that they had with students, which means that all of the abuse that happened after they came to the new school was preventable. Teachers unions in Oregon have a lot of power. They make it really, really difficult to fire teachers. And those unions are great for advocating for teachers having a livable wage, or protecting teachers from discrimination or mistreatment by the administrators. But there is no reason that teachers unions should be protecting teachers from their own criminal actions against students. These unions shouldn't be paying the legal fees or hiring lawyers for teachers who hurt kids. Administrators are so scared of legal battles that might happen if they fire a teacher that they will let abusers move to a different school instead. So my message to Mr. Yunker is that I know that talking about explicit books and reading them on the House floor is sensational, but I can guarantee that your constituents care a lot more that there are loopholes in the law that make Oregon a popular place for predators. Please bring this same energy to the table to close those loopholes. Clarify the language of your mandated reporter laws. Make it require a signature by more than one school administrator to close out a Safe Oregon report. And limit the power of teachers' unions to defend teachers against their own personal criminal actions, especially when it comes to the abuse of kids.